Hey guys, welcome back to the Protein Bros podcast. Today we have an exciting and awesome episode for you. We have not one but two guests. We had Zach Forrest as well as Nick Reyes. Both of these guys are phenomenal individuals, first and foremost, but they've both done some incredible things. Both started serving in the military and have now grown into a couple different areas in different ways. Nick and Zach both work for a company called PushPress, which is a company that started off with just Nick and a couple of guys and now has over 90 employees, and they service over hundreds of gyms throughout the country and in the world now when it comes to their software. They're really, really intelligent when it comes to fitness as a business. If you are somebody who has ever wanted to open your own gym one day, this is a phenomenal one to listen to. These guys have done things at the highest level. Zach is a level 4 CrossFit coach and certified trainer as well as instructor. And so he's the guy that you would have to test with if you wanted to become a level 4 coach as well. So just to be clear on that, there are thousands and thousands of CrossFit coaches, and there is only 50 or so level 4 certified coaches. And so these guys are extremely intelligent, and they've been doing it for a long time with a ton of intent behind it. And they've done some major things in the fitness community. And so if you are a fan of fitness, if you are a fan of business, this is a phenomenal combination to listen to. We also crack up about some different jobs we've had and some different things we've done in life, as well as Zach's lack of knowledge when it comes to barbecue. So wait till the end to hear that one. So appreciate you guys as always for listening. If you haven't already, please like, comment, share on the podcast. And if you could, let us know how we're doing, man. You know, we do this, guys, just for you. We do this 100% for our community. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys. So let's get to the episode and let us know what you think.
You obviously know Jacob Hepner, you're friends with him, right? And we did a podcast with him, and he's like, you got to come out. You know, he's like, I'm busy. Come out to my barn, gym, blah, blah, blah. And that was last year. And his barn isn't heated. His barn,
it's cold as hell.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't know any better.
I was legitimately like,
it was like, yeah, make sure to bring an extra jacket. Yeah. We're going to actually record this outside. Yeah. So
he was fine too. I don't know if that dude doesn't ever get cold or something, but he was like, yeah, all right, well, cool. I'm gonna go work out like again. No, I was like, all
t-shirt and shorts.
Guarantee you he's shooting a pistol right now with his shirt off outside.
Which his range out back is so sick.
So sick.
His entire setup is phenomenal.
You're just like,
it's
what
amazing.
is this? Yeah.
Did you have a mic? Did he have a mic when he was talking?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. That guy is so animated. I can't imagine him staying either close to a mic or one staying on him.
Yeah.
He moves his hands. He moves his body so much.
He
stays warm.
As animated as they come, and obviously a great guy.
I didn't even have to ask him really any questions. Like, you just kind of prompt him, and he just kind of goes, and you're just like, whoa, man, his mind works like a million miles an hour.
Yep.
It's impressive. It's definitely like you don't forget your time you meet him whenever you meet him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. He works with us too.
Right.
Yeah, he runs events for us.
No kidding.
Is he still a first form athlete too?
He's got like, doesn't he has like 4 businesses that are his.
Yep.
Functional eating, his programming stuff. And then he also works at PushPress.
Yep.
Wow.
He does tactical games programming now. So that
are you at Tactical Games?
Yeah, that middle picture of him.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you were doing tactical games with him and is CrossFit working with tactical games.
So CrossFit is not officially working with tactical games, but there's obviously a lot of carryover between athletes and people involved in both spheres. Hepner, what did I do? So I was director of training, and then he was selling some programming to people, and it was a natural transition when I stepped away from the tactical games. We brought him up to take over all the programming.
How awesome.
So that's what he's doing now.
That is cool, man.
Yeah.
So
and I think he's the reigning champ.
Was he the reigning champ this year as well?
Yep. I think 2 years running, and he is it this weekend or it's some weekend soon? The national championships are going again, and he has to defend his title.
Wow.
You mean to tell me that the Kansas boy with a range in his backyard and an
He's
entire fitness barn is going to do good?
And a top 10 at the CrossFit Games like 5 times. It's going to do good.
Who'd have thunk?
Yeah, right. I mean, he's beating out career law enforcement, military guys, and it's if you've ever seen him train and how disciplined and how focused he is and how intentional he is with his practice, it makes sense.
It does.
Yeah, his resume obviously speaks for it, but when you watch him practice and you hear him talk about how he sets up his own training, that's the impressive part. Yeah.
Oh, we jumped on a Zoom call, and he's got like Post-it notes with little crosshairs on them, and I'm like, what's that behind you? He goes, oh, it's dry fire.
Yeah,
I got them all over the house.
I love that.
The thing about the tactical games is like you watch it and you're like, oh, you know, that wouldn't be that hard. But if you haven't ever like looked into a scope and tried to steady your breath when your heart rate isn't jacked up, when you watch that, when I watch the tactical games now, because I'm really into hunting, and I think about what the scope would be doing. I don't know what that was. What the scope would be doing if my heart rate was that high. You know,
doing exactly that.
It would just be, yep. You know, it's like, man, that is just an incredible sport. I think it's only going to go up too. It was really interesting how he told us basically how it's scored, which is very interesting because it's like you can't be the really fit guy that's like, all right at shooting. You can't be the guy that's really good at shooting but not very fit. You have to like basically maximize both of those things.
Yeah, the scoring is. It has to be kept simple just for spectatorship, right? Like if you have this convoluted, overly complex scoring system, it's gonna be a pain in the ass to follow, and people don't want to be able to, or people don't want to be watching the sport and be confused by having to keep track of all these different aspects.
Correct.
Whoever crosses the finish line first, okay, that person obviously won the physical aspect, but then you don't have any idea as to what their shooting was like. So yeah, it is hard to watch and enjoy some aspects of the tactical games because the first person across the finish line may not be the winner of the event.
You know what they need? They need a bell or something, like whatever they're shooting at.
They need an auditory or visual representation.
Correct.
Yeah. Or a signal when you're making your shots. And I think that's probably the next evolution that'll kick it up in spectatorship and sponsorship money, because more spectators brings more sponsors, bring more partners, and yada yada yada. But yeah, Jake is fit and he shoots really well.
Yeah. Well, with respect to that, Zach, can we talk about with the tactical games, what is like a key piece that you think does need to be changed for it to be better for spectators?
I mean, if we're talking about the physical events, one of the hardest things to not stomach, but to get across is the ability to get to the range itself. Most of the ranges are in remote locations, not easily accessible, not close to an airport, not close to hotels. I mean, it's a pain in the butt for competitors. That may not be something that is ever overcome. It may just have to be something that's dealt with, but getting spectators out to a range that is remote, that isn't built to hold, like there are no stands, there's nowhere to sit. You have to, you're off to the side, you're behind the shooting line, so you can't always have a good visual or a good view of what's actually happening. The events themselves can be across acres. So where you stand to actually view the sport is something that they have to overcome. And I have always thought that the usage of drones and display like big TVs throughout the range, but then the issue becomes Wi-Fi connectivity, internet connectivity to some of these remote parts.
You're out in these
exactly.
Boondocks.
If they could stream and use drone footage and cameras to
showcase,
to increase the viewership, I think that's the next step for the development. But that's just my perspective.
These new sports, they just don't get any grace period, because the funding is going to dry up so fast and they don't figure out a way to get eyeballs there. You imagine like tennis right now, they started it back up and they were like 15 love. And everybody's like, wait, what? Why? That was 1 point.
Yep.
Where did you guys get 15?
Why
do you say love?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm still you saying that just reminds me. It reminds me of high school gym class.
Why?
Because that's like where you learn, 15 love,
tennis
like
scoring.
Yeah, tennis scoring. I just remember being like, God damn.
Kyle lives in Kansas and grew up in Kansas.
If you're gonna say I went to a rich school, you're false.
I know, that's why I'm laughing at like most people didn't learn that in high school. Man.
I don't know. I did. It was an elective.
It must have been the Kansas.
Yeah. Hey, in middle school,
Kansas makes sure that your kids are going to be good at, or at least know what tennis scoring is.
Isn't tennis like huge out here though? Like,
so
isn't this like the birthplace of pickleball too? Yeah,
pickleball's the leader now.
Yeah. People are putting tennis rackets down left and right.
So you guys obviously into shooting. Give us you guys' background as far as fitness related, also like what you did as far as the job goes. I know both you guys were in the military. Kind of give us a rundown of like you guys' background.
So if we start with the military piece, was in the Marine Corps from 2000 to 2006. Left the Marine Corps, met a woman who did not want to be a military wife, and she knew she didn't want to be one, She said, you can either stay in, Godspeed, good luck, or come with me, and we can live happily ever after. I said, let's go. I'm out. So left the Marine Corps in 2006 and started working for Sprint, just straight up retail sales.
Totally.
And from there went to a Sprint partner, which sold. They were one of the first digital video systems for law enforcement. Like 3 of the 4 companies that created this like technology and deployed it were here in Kansas City.
Really?
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So Outland Exa worked for them. They eventually filed for bankruptcy, but that was my intro into tech sales.
I was going to say you've been in technology then. Okay.
From there, went to Caterpillar, worked for their rail sales, which is kind of the more technical side of things, like signaling, like lights and gates and stuff. Whenever you cross railroad tracks, I sold all that. And then
don't screw up, dude.
yeah, pretty much right.
It's an important job.
And from there, met Brady Mora and TJ Kiblin, who had started CrossFit 913, and I was one of their very first members. Joined the gym. They like got me out of serious back pain and all kinds of issues. Got me back to training again, which I had kind of lost over the years, and it changed my life. And then a year later, they're like, "I think we're gonna have to close the gym." What? You got to close? And they were not making ends meet. And I was like, how about this?
When was this?
A year after 913 opened.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's like 2015,
Oh man.
16.
Let's see, they're 10 years old,
No.
11 years old. So this would have been 2012.
Okay.
Yeah. So from there, I was like, hey, I'll invest in the business and I'll just help keep you guys cash positive and moving in the right direction.
Yeah, you're going to actually operate the business.
Oh, exactly.
Work on it. They're going to work in it.
Correct.
Okay.
And so from there, it was just kind of one of these, I'd get off of work, swing by the gym. There'd be like a stack of Post-it notes. They'd be like, hey, I sold Zach some protein. You should ring it up. And be like Zach's credit card sitting there on like a Post-it note or on a sticky note at the desk.
Nice.
It was awful.
Some IOUs.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so they were using another software platform. I won't name them, but it was pretty clunky, and they couldn't figure out like how to run things through it, right? And so I was out getting a USA weightlifting cert with TJ down in Oklahoma, and the gym owner down there was basically saying like, hey, you should look at this brand new system called PushPress. It's like 2 people created this system. It's super, super easy. And that like hooked me. I was like, oh, I got 2 guys who can use super, super easy because they can't do complex because all they want to do is coach. And that's all they want to worry about. So easy, I'm in. Signed up for it. And like that's created like the momentum for me eventually leaving CAT and going there.
Nice.
But you went to PushPress, but I feel like now, correct me if I'm wrong, are you not in ownership with PushPress?
I was employee number 1, and so I have a decent size options and share pool. Yes,
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that's like
How many employees now?
Ooh, 80 something.
90? Yeah, something like that.
Very cool, dude.
how cool, man.
Yeah.
And you guys were in a spot where like what I love so much about your story, what you said, what made me like just start to grin like a kid. I'm like, you were in a position where you literally just were there to help solve problems. You recognized that someone was solving this problem really well. It solved the problem that you were having at your guys' gym. And you're like, ooh, how do I get in? You know?
Yeah,
Right
that
off
was
the bat.
exactly it. And
Opportunity.
Yeah. But like it was a real issue. And this is 2012, I would say is still part of the real in the US at least, huge CrossFit boom where many gyms were opening and many of them were having a hard time with the how to operate a business because it's not why you get into it. Most people are getting into the gym business because they love to work out. They love the community. They just don't want to have to work a 9 to 5, create another place to bring more people. But they don't want to actually come up with payroll and
you always say nobody starts a gym to mess with a computer.
right. Pay taxes.
Never. So like how many of those things can we take off their plate? So
Very cool, dude.
Did you approach? I'm curious. Did you approach Dan and Chris and Brian, or did they approach you?
I was in the middle of nowhere, Mexico, because when I worked for CAT, I covered Canada, Mexico, and short line and transit railroads in the Midwest of the United States. Okay. And so I was in the middle of nowhere in the back of a car being driven around. It was like 1 a.m. and Dan made a Facebook post. It was like, need some help with sales for PushPress, along with some advice on like lead functionality inside of our platform.
That's perfect for you. Yeah.
And I was like, I got you.
I can help with this. I don't want to be in the middle of Mexico. I want to be on the beach in Mexico.
That's exactly what it was.
So this might be too, invasive of a question, but just when the money you were making at Cat, and you're talking about, starting this family, and were they able to pay you as much as you were making at Cat, or did you have to balance for a long, long time? Because that seems like you had a really established brand there that you were bringing a lot of value to, and I'm sure getting paid extremely well comparatively to getting started at a startup.
Yeah, it was a massive, massive step backwards. Well into six-figure salary as a senior account executive for Cat. The first month, I think I worked for PushPress. PushPress as the company made like $8,000. So it was, and they obviously had to pay like the founders and stuff like that too, and they had overhead. So it was basically one of those scenarios where as my daughter was getting older, I went to the wife and said, I don't think I want to travel 50% of the year for the rest of my life. Like at some point, I want to move on and go work for a small company that when you turn in like a kick-ass number for the year, they're thankful. Instead of saying like, hey, thanks for the $20 million year. Next year it's 22. See you in January, and just rinse and repeat. And that's what it was for 6 years. And tons of great experiences, like nothing bad to say about it. It just wasn't for me long-term. So basically it was a matter of, how do we set up our lives personally in order to afford the ability to go take that leap, knowing it's going to be super risky, probably good chance that it fails, probably not going to make any money for who knows how long. And the wife was like, you supported me this whole time getting my career launched. I got you. Let's go.
Man, that just underscores how important it is to have the right partner.
Oh, God.
You don't have the right partner in that situation, and they're, they tell you no, your life looks a lot different.
100%. Yep. She's been so supportive this entire time.
It's awesome.
Absolutely.
Pretty cool.
Now you got to follow up with that. What's your background,
There's
Zach?
no follow up to that.
Come on, dude. You're a level 4.
He's like, I was employed too.
He was really early.
I was 11, I think.
Yeah, like number 11.
Number 11.
Worked out in that one show on Netflix, being number 11.
Wait, what was that?
I don't know what show you're talking about either.
Nick does. Stranger Things.
There you go.
Oh,
Stranger Things. So.
gotcha. Yeah.
Never seen it.
All right, Kyle. Kyle's been in the cobwebs of having 3 kids.
You haven't
under
seen
5.
it?
Bro, my house is just constant frozen, just on repeat.
You have 3?
Yeah, see? Oh, man. See, every time you blink, you turn around twice, the guy's got another one.
Nothing but
I'm done.
Nothing but Bluey and Paw Patrol for you.
I'm out, man. Yeah.
You guys are saying words that I understand the word. I just have no idea. No connection. Bluey?
Bluey is the new dog show that everybody loves.
Like
Paw
Blue's
Patrol's-
Clues?
But yeah, but like not Blue's Clues.
Why?
And no Steve.
I'll
right,
I'll show
fill
you.
me
And
in.
actually, Blue's Clues is on to another person now. It's not Steve.
It's not Steve anymore.
Well, then it's not Blue's Clues. I don't care.
Is it a chick?
Yeah, dude.
I
It's
don't
somebody
know.
else's clues at this point.
Nobody else's clues.
Blue's a dog.
Here's my question. Is Bluey the same Blue from Blue's Clues?
That's where I was
No.
going.
No, it's not.
What a
No,
crock of
man.
shit.
Bro, have you seen Peppa Pig?
I've heard of
I'm
I've
just
heard
saying
of
Peppa Pig is a little inappropriate the way it looks.
Yeah.
Peppa Pig?
Yeah, my kids love it. I'm
What, is
like,
what does Peppa Pig look
I don't want
like?
to talk about it. It looks
Luke-
looks inappropriate.
Luke, can we throw some on the TV here? Some Blue's Clues and some Bluey? Let's settle this.
Specific Peppa Pig inappropriate.
Everyone's gonna know what I'm talking about as soon as Peppa Pig comes
saying he
on.
looks like-
I don't even want to talk about it.
Does she look like a
but-
dong or what?
There we go.
Oh god.
There we go.
What's
That,
it-
that
what?
does not look
What's
like an anatomically
inappropriate?
correct nose.
I just don't think that looks like a pig. I think
just
that looks
saying-
like something else.
You're just saying if that pig's chin was a butt chin,
Yeah.
things would look a little different.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Anyways,
Yeah.
when my
All
kids
right.
first started watching this, I
That's
was
all I
like,
had to
"What
say.
is this? I
Yeah.
don't know if you should be watching that."
Doodle a butt chin on Peppa Pig, and you got something completely different.
Exactly.
Respect. Okay.
I don't know how we got here, but Zach, let's hear
Okay.
about your background, brother.
Yeah.
Okay, so well, I want to keep talking about Peppa Pig. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, when did I went in the military very, very young. I think it was 17. I was about to turn 18. This is back in 2002 is when I enlisted. It was right after 9/11. It was the following January. Yeah, I went in knowing what I wanted to do. And so went through boot camp, went through A school for IT, which is like comms and electronics and stuff like that. And then went right to Buds. Went through Buds and onto SQT, blew up my eardrum a couple times in training. So my training pipeline was extended a little bit longer than most by a few months. Diving was not something I was bad at. Just my body didn't agree with a specific maneuver called emergency descents. It's where you're on the surface and you have to get underwater very, very quickly. I had a hard time like clearing my my eustachian tubes, so it was very common for me to just blow out my eardrums completely and try my damnedest to like continue to dive. But it's very hard to do that when you're leaking air out the side of your head and you got vertigo and all this other stuff. So my training pipeline was about 3 months longer than most before I got to Team 4 in Virginia. And that is where, actually, I was about to say that's where I started, where I found CrossFit. But I actually found CrossFit in SQT. Dave Castro was my class liaison. He was our proctor, and he kind of introduced the methodology to us at that point. And we started training it pretty religiously in SQT on the West Coast. And SQT stands for SEAL Qualification Training. It's still, you're with the same group of guys that made it through BUDS, and different set of officers though. But we were getting into training with CrossFit because we thought we were fit, and then we started doing CrossFit and we realized how unfit we actually were. And when I got to the East Coast on Team 4, they were doing something called Jim Jones, which was, I think, it gained popularity through that movie
300.
Yeah, the 300. It's the same crew that trained them. And it was very similar to CrossFit.
So it was just CrossFit.
Yeah, exactly. Rebranded a little bit differently. But that's actually where I started training other people, was at Team 4. I became put in charge of what they called the initiative was HPI, Human Performance Initiative. So I was in charge of developing and implementing the training protocol for all the SEALs at the team. And so that was my exposure to coaching before I got out in 2008. So at this point, what am I, 24 years old, something like that?
Can we talk about that transition and what made you decide to go out versus stay in?
Pure fear. I in retrospect, I missed the job, and I kind of, part of me misses or wishes that I hadn't. But it was one of those scenarios where I was so young that I didn't realize how long of a life I could have. And to me, a minimum reenlistment is 6 years for a SEAL. And being 24 years old, I did the math and I was like, man, that'll be 30. Oh my God, 30. That's my entire adult life at that point, is what I'm thinking. And it's like laughable now, but like I had listened to some other guys on the team talk about their experience, and they're like, are you happy here? Are you enjoying the job? What are you thinking about all the time? And I basically came to the decision that I wanted to see what else was out there, what else I could do. And so that was the driving factor for me leaving. And so that happened. Got out when I was 24. At that point, I had a pretty good, decent exposure to CrossFit, and I didn't have an exact plan when I got out. I was like, I know I want to do something in fitness, but I don't know what. And then I started learning about affiliation and opening gyms and training facilities, and I was like, oh, I think I can do that. So I started a gym up in CrossFit Las Vegas. It was the first affiliate in Las Vegas with a partner. His name was Joe. We had 10 grand. We had $10,000. We went through a family friend to secure a location we were pretty lucky. We were paying $1,000 for 6,000 square feet per month. This is back in 2008 is what I said.
That's wow.
Yep.
This is like, I mean, CrossFit at this time, guys, just everybody's listening, like you would probably say like 1 in 100 people maybe had heard of it.
Oh yeah. It was still
infancy.
Very much.
Yeah. You still say CrossFit and people are like, oh, never heard of it.
Of course.
What is that?
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of our job was just explaining without scaring people away. Doing the best. It was sales without knowing it, really.
But the culture around CrossFit was purely fear. Like, it was like, this is the worst thing and that was you've ever tried.
It's going to hurt and
Absolutely.
You're going to love it.
And that was
a win and a lose.
The people that came in, the people that were attracted to it it was not, what's the opposite? It was counterculture.
Yeah.
It were people that were specifically looking to do things that weren't mainstream.
Yeah, it's more contrarian.
Yeah, absolutely. And nowadays it's very, very different. But back then we grew based off, not instilling fear, but instilling that, hey, you're going to do something hard and you can handle it.
Totally.
And people were up for the challenge. So we grew to about 300 members over 3 years. we weren't specifically focused on growing. We just wanted to train really well. We just wanted to get people in really good shape.
That's a busy CrossFit gym.
Yeah.
And it helped that we were in Las Vegas because we got a lot of eyes on us from drop-ins. People would visit Las Vegas as a CrossFitter from outside the town, and we were the only one that they could really go to and visit. So we got all the tourists that had known about CrossFit came to our spot, and that made it seem busier than it actually was. But it helped with revenue. It helped with us driving other factors in the gym.
T-shirt sales is probably crazy.
T-shirt sale. Oh my gosh. Retail.
It was such a thing, man. Everybody if you go to a new box, man, you got to get their shirt.
Absolutely.
It was like you had to.
And we did one of those things where it was like, hey, you buy a T-shirt, you don't have to pay the drop-in.
Right.
So we were churning out 500 T-shirts a month.
Gyms have stopped doing that,
It's-
though.
yeah.
Now it's like, no, give me that drop-in.
Yeah, they'd rather have the $20.
I'll take both, please.
Yeah.
Now that everybody knows what CrossFit is,
Yeah.
I don't care if you wear my shirt. That's what they're saying. Yeah. But it was a very interesting time to see the evolution of the methodology and the growth of the methodology into mainstream. Eventually, it was 5 gyms over the course of 8 years. CrossFit Las Vegas, CrossFit West Vegas, CrossFit 702, CrossFit Max Effort, CrossFit Las Vegas. We grew. The main location was generating $1 million in revenue annually, and it was a fun but stressful. That's CrossFit West Vegas right there up on the screen, and that's after we purchased that from the previous owner and remodeled it, and that was probably one of the hardest transitions that I ever went through. Was taking an existing gym and trying to change the culture.
Yikes.
Yeah, it was very difficult. It was, I'd say, a losing battle.
I was gonna say, did it take you one of those to figure out not to ever do that again?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if I had the option of starting from scratch or buying an existing gym and trying to, I would start from scratch 9 times out of 10.
Every time. I mean, I would do it across the street from that one that's failing.
Yeah, exactly.
If you could.
Good comparison.
You could.
Why would I buy your gym if I can take the same amount of revenue and develop a better one that I don't have to fight?
You have to break down all these walls now, all the negative culture that's happened inside those walls. I can just, from a business perspective, that would scare me off.
CrossFit as a business is, I mean, it's a very simple model, but it's heavily steeped in relationship and service, and that's so subjective to each and every one of the members. You look at a normal gym that survives, the Globo gyms, we call them 24-hour fitness or Gold's Gym or whatever. Those members don't necessarily have relationships with the gym itself, with the people at the gym, with the people that are behind the desk, with the trainers, unless they have like a one-on-one trainer. It's very rare. It's not the same type of relationship that you'd have in a CrossFit gym with your coach. And each one of those relationships, I learned, is the key to making revenue. It's so what we figured out and across the board opening all these gyms and trying to drive revenue was relationships and results equals retention. And if you have retention, you're gonna keep revenue up.
Yeah.
So that was the driving mantra for the gyms for the decade that they were open. At about 2010, I got on to CrossFit HQ seminar staff. I'd take my level 1. I had taken the level 2 back then, and I was starting to teach seminars for CrossFit, the level 1 and level 2 seminars, and been doing that since 2010. We have evolved that process drastically since. When did you take your level 1?
I don't know. It just expired. So
5 years ago.
there you go.
Yeah. So when I first got on, the courses were very not rudimentary, not basic, but we had a general outline of everything that we wanted to teach and a general syllabus, and it was up to the individual trainer as to how it was going to be taught. And there were some best practices that you adhered to, that you would learn from others. And now it's very dialed in. It is very refined, mostly because, or partly due to the fact that we test on it. There wasn't a test when the original level 1 came out. And so that right there helped me to develop a different skill set that I wasn't seeking, but the ability to present to people, the ability to not teach off a script, but teach a very strict set of criteria to a very diverse group. Because now, like you were saying earlier, people that were attracted to CrossFit back in the day that were going to the level ones were a very specific type of person. And now you see anyone and everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
All walks of life.
All walks of life. And now you're seeing that in gyms, in CrossFit gyms specifically. So the skill set of dealing with, at first in my coaching career, Navy SEALs, other personality
Psychos.
types like that. Yeah, exactly. Right. And there are some legit sociopaths and legit psychos in that community. Right. We might want to edit that out. I don't know.
I listened to Andy Stump's
in-
podcast, and he said that he was in one of the guys that he went through buds with actually did murder somebody.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Andy was my second phase instructor.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
He seems like a very interesting guy to be around. Entertaining, I would say.
Andy is so, and Andy also worked for CrossFit headquarters on seminar staff, and I worked with him there a couple times. So I knew him and Dave Castro in two different lights: the SEAL community and the SEAL light, and then also CrossFit. And Andy is he's extremely real, but he is always one with witty, sarcastic quips ready.
That's what
He's ready to
seems.
banter with you.
He'll be the guy, like he's very professional when he needs to be, but he's also the guy that when you're presenting at a whiteboard about nutrition, he'll stand behind everyone with a notepad or an iPad with an enlarged picture of a dick, and just hold it up in the back,
That sounds about right.
and you just wait until you see it, and then he'll put it down and run away. And you'll be like, "All right, fuck you, dude."
That's funny.
I don't want to interrupt you. That's an awesome story. So you were saying.
Well, I was gonna ask real quick that you were so basically CrossFit got a lot better at systematizing what they were teaching in those seminars. Do you think that's led to a better product from CrossFit as a whole?
Absolutely. The message is more clear. The message is more succinct.
It seems like that. It seems like coaches are getting better and better and better, you know?
Almost to the point, and I hesitate to say this, almost to the point to where the level one is applied and given so effortlessly by the seminar staff. There's nobody on the planet that can do this better than the people on seminar staff. And they do it so well that it almost comes across too easy. It comes across
Easy to mimic, you're saying? Like,
not easy to mimic, but so what is it when someone does something so effortlessly that you don't place a lot of importance on? You're just like, oh yeah, that looks right.
Then when someone masters something, everybody doesn't value it the same because it looks so effortless.
That's exactly right. Like, you don't appreciate the speed or the strength that NFL football players have until you have to go up against them, right?
Right.
And you watch people on the level one, the level two, on seminar staff coach or deliver the kernel of information that is the CrossFit methodology, and they do it so well that you don't appreciate how difficult or how complex it actually is until you yourself try to coach it or deliver it. And I think it's gotten to that point where some people, unless they're going in with a specific mindset, some people go through the level one and they leave with that lack of appreciation. Most of the time they have the appreciation because they're coming from, oh, I want to be a coach. But some people just go into it and it just goes right over their head. And that's the only thing that I can think of where, man, they've refined it and they deliver it so well that's the negative byproduct. And if that's your problem, then there are worse problems to have.
You know how this correlates with other fitness. Orange Theory, we had a couple of Orange Theory owners and trainers on the podcast, and I thought this was really unique. So let's say you get your cert, like you're saying, they make them do like what do you remember what he called it, Kyle? But it's like mic time, more or less. They have them get on the microphone and actually like try to teach the other trainers at Orange Theory. And like once it comes time for them to be the one that's giving all the instruction, they start to like freeze up really fast.
Yep.
Like, I don't know what to say, so I'm going to stumble over my words. I'm going to fill it with bullshit. Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
There's a whole lot of that, and so they're like, okay, so
me on this podcast sometimes.
You're probably not going to work. They're not going to work out real well here, so they don't have to commit to it. But I would think that maybe doing some kind of like, if I was getting my level one, to teach the other level one something before I leave. Put me in the deep end for a second. That'd probably be really helpful.
Yeah, and they've started to change the course. I'm not sure if you had an opportunity to coach while you took your level one. They are starting to implement that now. Where on day 2, after we've taught you a lot of the information, cool. Now you're actually going to take a step and you're going to try coaching each other just in a one-on-one with a single movement. And it's during like an 8-minute low intensity AMRAP style workout, but you get some deer caught in the headlights kind of look when people are watching someone squat and they're just like, I see that you're squatting, but I see nothing else.
Knowledge and application, very different things.
Very
Absolutely.
Are you familiar with the level 4, Jeff, and what you have to do for it?
Not at all. I was talking about how we know Natasha, who used to shop at our store, and she's like one of the rare level 4 people out there. And I was like, I thought that was rare. 50, only 50 of them.
I want to say there's between 50 and 70. I don't know the exact number. It's not too many.
How do you become a Jedi? Walk us through it.
Yeah, right. The level 4 test, and it's a relatively new test that is it's scaring some people. We've had some people on seminar staff go take it, fail, and then get remediated and practice, and then they go back and pass. And it's interesting to say that there are people on seminar staff that weren't up to it when they initially tried it, and it's because the grading criteria is pretty stringent. So the process is you're going to go to a gym that hosts the level 4. And the level 4 is we give you a workout and you need to write a session plan for it. And then we're going to evaluate your application of your session plan. And the amount of athletes that you work with are going to be between, I want to say 4 and 8. This could be changed depending on what the host location is able to facilitate. But you kind of basically have to prove that you can run a 1-hour session on time with good results and safely. And
so the coach
simple.
So the coach doesn't know the athletes.
They've never worked with the athletes before. Yeah. They don't know the scenario. They've probably never been to the gym. They may have been to the gym, but a lot of people are going to travel for this, right? And they don't know the workout that they have to, the movements that they have to teach, coach, see, correct. And so that can push people outside their comfort zone. And so you're going to be graded on a lot of different criteria, your ability to see and correct movement, obviously, how you teach the movement, how you deliver your instruction, your logistics, how you set everybody up, your timeline control. Are you giving the appropriate amount of attention to each person, or are you ignoring someone that is a better mover for the sake of someone that is a poor or less good mover, right? And even if you're a good athlete, you still need to be coached, but your coaching may be different. Are you a coach that can differentiate that style of training that you need to apply to one person versus the other? So there's a lot of stuff that goes into grading the level 4. And I think I know you have at least one, but I think you might even have 2 people watching you and observing the entire time now. Yep.
Man, well, just a slight bit intimidating, huh?
Little bit.
I was thinking that it was actually you knew. This is my buddy Nathan's interpretation of it, and he was saying that they fly a person into your gym and you do it with people that you have already coached. And
that is an
like,
option.
He was like, that would be worse, because then he's like, imagine I train at 12 and there's like a class full of people that train at 12 that are just like misfits, and he's like, if I had to like coach you guys,
Kyle, hope they don't listen to this podcast. So out here calling your buddies misfits.
I mean, not misfits. It's just like, it's just guys that have trained together for a long time.
Right.
You kind of know like how that group is.
You get that environment. It's like, guys, I'm seriously
like,
trying to do something
coach here, dude.
I'm trying to do something serious here, guys.
I'm trying to do something serious, and so
quit giving Jeff a wet willy. You know?
That's basically the whole time. But he was saying that if he's like, man, that would be rough to do. I think it would be better to do it with people that you didn't have any kind of history with.
I would agree with that. Yeah, because otherwise you've seen the same body move over and over and over. You're probably doing
like
the
his
same stuff.
Shoulders messed up, so I'm not going to talk to him about how he's doing wall ball or whatever. You know.
But the graders are extremely good at working around those things.
Yeah.
So even if they know that ahead of time, they'll be able to tell and not adjust the way they grade you, obviously, but having that insight is probably going to shift a little bit of what they focus on for you. Yeah.
So, and what do you do at PushPress? Like, what is your specific job title?
So my specific job title is Director of Strategic Partnerships. And basically when we work with a company that anytime that we need to interact with another company, we want to make sure that the relationship works both ways. We have different types of partnerships as far as marketing, content share, as far as tech and integration partnerships, and then programming partners when we now have a aspect of our technology that delivers workout programming to all the gyms that are on our software. And have you guys heard of any, like Mayhem or NC Fit? Or so they put out programming, and I work with their teams to make sure that gets delivered to our customers, clients, the best way possible. Content marketing partners are people that are living in our ecosphere or potentially outside our ecosphere that we can drive value to our clients from. For instance, lawyers and insurance agents possibly that are, looking to help gym owners get set up properly, right? A lot of gym owners go into business, they have no idea what to do for insurance or how to set up their LLC or anything like that. So we work with, we vet these lawyers and these insurance agents to make sure that they have our clients' best interests at heart, and we put out content that can help our shared clients, stuff like that.
So you guys have preferred partners, if you will, on the things that is added value and tools.
I was
for
about
a gym
to
owner.
say you're an added value guy.
Absolutely. I'm always looking. My heart and soul belongs to the affiliate owners and the coaches, and I've never been shy about that. It's like if anybody needs to succeed, it's them, because when it comes to administering the CrossFit methodology, they are the tip of the spear. They are where all the change, all the good change, all the positive change that CrossFit as a methodology can enact, it starts with them. And so my purpose right now professionally is to make sure that they are most well equipped to run a successful business and deliver the CrossFit methodology in the best way they possibly can to their clients. So yes, value add is number one.
Very cool. Very cool. Is that what you guys would say is the biggest differentiator between PushPress and other companies that do the workout app deal?
Offer a similar service.
Yeah, I'd say it's probably the number one differentiator. I mean,
Absolutely it is.
I owned a gym for close to a decade, and Dan, our CEO, owned I think a couple locations and used them as kind of the test beds for PushPress in the early days. Zach was an early employee, and we didn't even really have like a spot or a role really early on. It was like, here's a gym owner that knows his shit like really, really well, and he's leaving the gym owning space. So what can we learn from him? Let's just bring him on the staff. We'll figure it out. And so,
were you in charge of that at the time?
No, I was not. That was Dan, right?
Yeah, I made a post on Facebook, and then I was like,
Facebook.
"Hey, we're selling and closing down these locations and selling equipment, blah blah blah. I'm out." And then Dan hit me up. He's like, "I don't know what we're gonna do with you, but we want you on the team."
Yeah,
I was like, "Okay."
Dan is very much Dan's our
consultant.
CEO. He's very much if you're talented and you're about the mission, we'll figure out a way to drive it forward together.
Yeah.
So really cool.
Was that always his mission? Was he always looked at PushPress as like the way we're going to differentiate ourselves is if I acquire a lot of previous gym owners who have been successful in the gym space, they're going to know how to add value, and that's really going to be our biggest differentiator.
It comes on with Cross is almost like they were consulting.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of started that way, and then as it picks up momentum and you just realize how much of an advantage it gives you, it's like, keep leaning in there, right?
Yeah.
So I think,
well, you got to be a gym guy to talk to gym guys and get like, it's what I tell our guys, in the store too. It's like, if you want to be able to relate to somebody and actually become friends with them and not just like a surface level, like business partnership type thing, if you actually want to like really be friends with them, you have to share commonalities. And like, in the world of like CrossFit or, training, it's like, you just have to sweat with them. They have to know that you're like a person, you're a part of it.
You walk the walk too. And you being a gym owner and you being a gym owner, they know that you've actually experienced these struggles in real time.
Yep.
Yeah, it's actually amazing that more companies don't follow that formula. But if you think about it, right, like a business that I would say is exceptional, it solves a specific problem for a specific person in a unique way, right? So you can look at anything. They have an avatar, they're solving a problem for that avatar, and they don't take a conventional approach to solving it that the rest of the market would accept. So look at S2. You guys could be like GNC, but you're not even close. So you guys have a unique way that you guys go about business that earns the trust, that solves the problem of how do I get nutrition and supplement advice from someone, right? So you guys have done it in a very admirable way. So at PushPress, we've done it and, solving the same problem that a lot of software companies try to solve. But our unique way is we leverage 210 years of gym ownership experience with everything that we do. So 100% of the sales team has owned gyms. 100% of the customer support team have owned gyms. It's like a prerequisite at this point.
That's amazing. That's truly amazing. So, I mean, like, and here's what's cool about that. What I love about it from like we're selling this to, let's say I'm like onboarding a new hire. It's like, well, you can't really compete with that. You can only meet it. You can't beat it. Right. You can only say like, we also are gym owners at this company.
We hire gym owners too.
We hire gym owners that were all successful for at least 5. You know what I mean? Like now you're starting to get into the weeds.
I love that saying. You can't beat it. You can only meet it. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I love that.
That's great. Yeah.
And that's like, just, it's unstoppable. On a long enough timeline, you can't lose that. So who's going to be better at teaching other gym owners how to be better gym owners than successful gym owners?
Exactly. Yeah, and it brings its own challenges. We have to teach maybe rather than grabbing salespeople from other SaaS companies who are probably more classically trained in sales, but they don't understand what it's like to own a gym. We have to train them how to sell.
Right.
So there's a flip side to that coin, but I bet on our ability to do that.
Yeah. Do you guys, we talked briefly before the podcast, and you said that you're into jiu-jitsu. Are you guys branching out into other gym styles? Like, Jeff does karate. No, he doesn't.
In my garage only.
You guys
in my bedroom with my stepbrother.
There we go.
Are you guys branching out into, like, I would say they're cousin type gyms to CrossFit?
Yeah, jiu-jitsu's trendy. You guys gonna be in jiu-jitsu gyms?
Yeah.
That's what he's.
We will be. When we are in several.
Yeah.
We still tend to put the majority of our focus on in-person group fitness, CrossFit primarily, but in-person group fitness. So we serve more than just CrossFit affiliates, obviously. And when we launched our free platform, which was basically the Black Friday before COVID, before the Chiefs won that Super Bowl, and then COVID shut down the world, right?
I remember when you posted it because, Nick, you don't post often, but when you do, you make it count. You know what I mean? And so I do read all your posts. And when you did, it was like, this was a huge deal. It was like revolutionary for you guys giving out this platform for free.
Yeah. So we launched our free version. Appreciate that, by the way.
Yeah.
And what we noticed was there were a lot of other gym types that needed some very simple, easy to use platform to bill their clients, to track attendance. And they didn't want to pay, $250 a month or $200 a month for something just to process payments and track attendance. And so next thing you know, there was like a private pool club in Nashville that wanted to use our software. I think we must have went viral in some fencing community because now we have 30 fencing, sword fighting gyms that use the platform.
You can sign up for sword fighting in a gym?
Yeah, you can. There's 2 here.
Hold on. Not only that, are you telling me that there's specific gyms for sword fighting? That's crazy.
2 in Kansas City, apparently.
Yeah, there's 2 in Kansas City. I looked them up the other day.
Future guest on the podcast, probably.
Dude, let's go.
I'll fence your ass.
We need to have a field trip.
I'll absolutely fence your ass.
It's called a duel, you son of a bitch.
I guarantee you a fencer is going to take absolutely some kind of...
It's not going to like me poking fun at fencing.
Yeah, dude, it's not a duel.
Yeah.
It's called it's probably some French word or something. I have no idea, but that's alarming.
So
some French word or something.
Yeah.
That's less offensive. Some French word.
You're going to say on guard. I mean, that's the start. You know what I mean? I don't know. The guys that say it usually have a mustache. Look at them, guys. Look at them.
We should go take a class.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
We should. That would be fun.
That would be a piece of content.
I'd be in on that. So anyways, fencing. You guys are big in the fencing community.
Bigger now.
Went viral in the fencing.
Hey, make sure you chop up that clip and you put that as the clip that we push out so they can get more fencing clients.
We're going to send it directly to the 2 Kansas City studios.
Put a timestamp on that.
Put a timestamp on it.
But no, so basically what we found out is there's a ton of different gym types besides just in-person group, conventional fitness, whether it's CrossFit or boot camps or whatever you want to call them, right? And so all of a sudden we need to start being able to sell into those gyms and then support those, those business types as well. And so it's not the current focus, but we do sell and support into it now.
My question for that is, we have a company here in Kansas City that we don't know well, but we know that they sell to karate gyms, jiu-jitsu gyms, etc. Kicksite. I'm obviously not asking you guys to like be unprofessional or talk negatively, but I don't think you ever would. But bottom line is just like, what makes you guys different from Kicksite?
We don't come across them too much, and that's probably because we don't purposely try to like target that space. Like you won't see paid ads for us to try to take Kicksite customers. I doubt we even have a comparison page to Kicksite. The most I know about them, I think one of the team members here works for Kicksite, I believe.
Used to work here for us.
Okay, used to.
That's how we got familiar with them in the first place.
Got it.
Mike Selk, good dude.
Exactly.
Dude.
And their office is right next to where my daughter does gymnastics.
Nice.
Otherwise, it's like I ran into them at in the Vegas airport at one point, and we weren't even at the same conference. So, it's like passing ships at this point.
Okay. I was like, so what are the odds?
So can't really speak to how we would be different from them.
This shows how I'm a novice when it comes to these different software platforms, for sure. But the fact that you were an employee one and now you guys have 90 plus employees speaks to your vision, man. Super excited for you guys on that.
With PushPress's being hitched to the CrossFit wagon so hard. A couple of years back when CrossFit went through some issues as far as ownership goes and changed ownership and
some negative publicity.
A lot of CrossFit gyms stopped paying for their affiliate fee and decided to just become group fitness. Can you talk through what it was like being in a business where you're heavily relying upon the business of CrossFit to stay healthy, going through those kind of changes that basically you guys had no control over?
Yeah, I mean, I think for the most part, our focus has always been on support the gym owners. So like when in doubt, there can be turmoil going on all around, whether it's the world shutting down for COVID or some issues going on with an affiliation or a franchise partner or whatever it is. But ultimately there's a person who, took out 10 grand from family and he created his vision for the gym, and that's who our responsibility is to. So there can be turmoil everywhere else. We owe that gym owner.
You gotta solve their problems.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like when in doubt, do that.
Yeah.
Right. You're not you guys are not affiliated with CrossFit in any kind of actual official way, correct?
Yeah. I mean, if they close down, it doesn't change.
Doesn't change what we do.
Doesn't change what we do. There's still countless gym owners, and we all drive by them all the time, and we're members of these communities, and so they're the ones who need the help.
How many affiliates are there now in the United States?
In the U.S.
or I guess in the world would be a
in the
better
world.
question.
It's getting close to 15,000 from my knowledge. I'm trying to remember the
CrossFit
exact number. I know
Subways.
they are still. The number is still growing across the board. The CrossFit is a brand, and that's the thing. It's a company, but it is a. It says there are more than 15,000 CrossFit affiliate gyms around the world. Yeah. When did that come out? Going in 2024? Yep. So I know it's around that number, but CrossFit is a brand, and it is a certain methodology, but it's not exclusive to functional fitness or community-based fitness or in-person fitness. It's if CrossFit fell off of the door of every gym, of every affiliate in the world, they would still be trying to impact people's lives through functional fitness in a group setting. And that's the important part. I know a lot of trainers, and I would never want to speak for them. It's just, this is how I feel. And I'm assuming that a lot of other trainers feel the same way. It doesn't matter what you call it. It doesn't matter what you call it. As long as people are performing varied functional movements with intensity, and we know that is the prescription that gets people more physically and mentally fit in most cases, and that program is being, or that methodology is being implemented and applied in a scalable way so that anybody and everyone can take place in it. That's what really matters. The name is always going to be second to that. Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for CrossFit because, I truly think that it's one of the few things that has came along in the last, 20 or 30 years that is like really put a dent into the, ever growing obesity epidemic and the epidemic of
disruptive.
Of sickness that is basically happening in America. If you, you give out a ton of good information on your social media, as far as like to affiliates, like what I would consider like some really, really top tier, recommendations for, people who are coaches and people who are starting businesses. But let's say I was going to start a CrossFit gym tomorrow. What are the 3 most important things that you would tell me that I need to focus on with that to make that business successful?
Only 3 things, huh?
I'll give you some leeway if you got more than that.
Well, I'm just trying.
If you want to riff on as many,
you gave us the answer earlier. To be honest with you,
yeah,
it's the 3 R's that you said earlier.
Yeah, and that's talking about the business model, but it's like that's not going to be easily executed. It's not going to be implemented if you just don't care, right? So it's the first thing. Like the best trainers in the world are people that care. And you can't, and these aren't my words. This is something that I learned from Greg Glassman, the founder of CrossFit. When he said that, I was like, that seems too simple. That seems too easy. You just got to care. And then you actually watch the coaches that are the best, the gyms that are the best. And it's because of that simple fact. They care about the purpose behind it. And so I would say like, hey, figure out what you care about. As a gym owner, find out what your mission is, and not the mission that you put in your employee handbook, just to check the box. And our mission is to save the world by changing one person's physical fitness at a time. Well, whatever that bullshit line cliche thing is. Like, find out what it is that you are waking up to do every single day and just dive headlong into it. That's number 1. Number 2, focus on retention. focus on keeping the when you get someone, focus on over-delivering to them.
Yeah.
The product can't suck. You can't be bad at what you do. You could, but you're not going to last. Like
Jeff quit CrossFit because he was going to I encouraged him. I was like, dude, you should start doing CrossFit. You don't have to think about it. It's going to get you in good shape. And he went to
You went to say the name.
I was going to say that you were trying to learn to
do
pull-ups more efficiently.
Butterfly
right?
pull-ups. I went from doing like strict to kipping to butterfly, and that transition to butterfly pull-ups really like bogged me down. I was really feeling like just like this is not comfortable anymore. I'm no longer like progressing. I was just kind of at this.
You're
like
flopping
plateau.
around like a fish up there. I bet.
Yeah, just plateauing. Right.
When you said, were you in pain?
No.
Okay.
Just technique problem.
Okay.
Right. And I wasn't getting the coaching on it. I didn't feel like the coach was really being present to the classes.
Yep.
I went to him after class. Hey, can we set up a meeting? Just the 2 of us. And I remembered and he didn't. But I was there and he was there at the same time. And even seeing me, he didn't like wake up to that fact. He told me to come at this time on this day.
Wow. Yep.
Guess who quit CrossFit?
Yep. That makes sense. It sounds like he didn't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was
to your point. Yep.
And if you care enough, you'll eventually be good. You may not be the best coach, but you'll be good enough to change lives, and you will be good enough to run a successful business. And if you continuously care, you will continuously improve, and then it's just a matter of time before you are great. The thing about CrossFit that I've heard, and I will say over and over again, CrossFit is so effective as a method, as a technology, as a methodology, that even if you implement CrossFit poorly, it still delivers tremendous results.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
It's insane. Like you can do CrossFit really, really badly, and you can do it haphazardly, and you can do it. I'm hesitant to say unsafely, but you could do it that way, and you're still going to get pretty damn fit. And I think that is one of the reasons why it bothers a lot of people, that you don't have to care and you can still have some semblance of success.
That's that, and I think that's a lot of the ego that's still involved in our fitness industry.
Absolutely.
And it's because everybody has to be special,
stuff.
Right? Everybody has to, every trainer has to have they're more special, and that, it shouldn't be as easy as you just showing up to a CrossFit class, right?
No, it should be that easy, especially if your coach, and it is that easy if your coach cares enough to put the effort in. Yep.
I'm with you.
It is. Being a coach, ridiculously hard deal, because it's like everybody that comes into a gym, you know, has different bases that they're working with. You know, if you got a guy that's been working out for a long time, you know, their stability is going to be a little bit, usually it's going to be a little bit better, but maybe their mobility is worse, you
Absolutely.
know, because, and so it's like, and then you have the person that's never worked out before, and you have all these different people, and it's the same class,
Yep.
which is wild.
So, and that's one of the biggest criticisms of CrossFit as it's applied at the affiliate setting. It's like you can't get good training, so on, in the group model. And you can, as long as your coach is continuously developing. You think about all the variables that a coach has to juggle. First off, as a CrossFit coach, how many different disciplines of fitness do you need to be, let's say, proficient in? Let's say barbell weightlifting, kettlebells, medicine ball, like basic calisthenics and gymnastics, monostructural movements like running, right? Like I don't know any other style of coach that needs to be proficient in as many different disciplines, right? So just as far as the knowledge base is concerned, a CrossFit coach is probably going to have more knowledge across many different disciplines than any other coach out there, for the most part, right? Then you have to be able to apply that knowledge within a 60-minute window, because we agree that a 60-minute window is probably the most basic class format, with skill levels that could be from a true beginner, someone's first day, first week, first month in this style of training, to a D1 athlete that is on summer break or something like that, to a soccer mom that's never worked out in her life, or maybe was a former athlete in high school and hasn't trained in 10 years, to the 70-year-old that is recovering from hip surgery. And you need to be able to take that knowledge and apply it effectively across that spectrum in a 60-minute session. You need to be a damn good coach. Not only do you need to be able to apply the knowledge so that they can safely work out with intensity, you need to do so in a way that they enjoy it. You need to do it with a personality that keeps them coming back, that makes you not look like a total asshole.
Yeah.
Right? So if you break
We talked
down-
about that with Jeremy last week. We're like, yeah, you kind of have to like push through the beginning of like the suck phase of CrossFit. You have to like the culture, the encouragement, the good coaching has to kind of carry a person through the beginning, because if you guys remember what it's like to be like out of shape and starting to work out again, it's
Lots
like
of discomfort.
a lot of discomfort. And so if you don't have
A
those,
lot of ego bruising, right?
if you don't have those things in the beginning, it is really hard to keep a hold of somebody, I'm guessing, in the CrossFit model.
That's probably one of the more or under discussed aspects of coaching, is slicing through to an individual who's coming in to, be coached from a mental standpoint. Because, you mentioned earlier, like the person comes in and like, maybe they're really strong, but they're not very, mobile. Well, that also might mean that they have this massive ego. So getting them to tear their walls down and learn something new when they've only ever been like the big guy type of thing, right?
Totally.
And then what about the person who's scared shitless to even walk in the door? And
Which is a lot.
Exactly.
A lot.
The whole environment scares them. So you have to be able to tear down someone's ego and build someone up. And that's not even...
Now you're asking a
discussed
coach to be a
ever.
therapist.
Exactly.
It's like
That generally was just like,
Which is everybody. I mean, it's
Right.
every coach now.
Yeah.
You know what
Yep.
I mean? Especially these days with the amount of mental health that we've talked about in popular culture. You got to be proficient,
It's funny because I was telling you I was on a call earlier today, and I was talking about resiliency and how there's 3 different types of resiliency. You have physical resilience, you have emotional, and then you have intellectual or mental resiliency. And there's probably a lot more, but in the scope of this, right? And the more resilient people don't allow discomfort in one realm to force discomfort in another. Like, have you ever been so emotionally distraught or so emotionally uncomfortable that you had a physical reaction?
oh
For
yeah,
sure.
Absolutely. Have you ever been so physically uncomfortable that you had an emotional reaction?
yeah,
Of course.
Every
Yep.
time
Absolutely.
you've wanted to get in a fight.
Someone that is more resilient can compartmentalize to a higher degree. So how much physical discomfort can you change before it becomes an emotional issue?
Ooh,
Right?
nice. Yeah,
And
never really thought about it like that.
Yeah.
And then resiliency on another side is how quickly can you come back to baseline from experiencing a traumatic experience that does force spillover. Like like if you go through some sort of combat scenario, right, and that changed the way that you perceive reality or you view life, cool, how does it negatively impact you? Like there's that aspect of resiliency that everybody talks about. But as far as coaching and being in the gym, yeah, people may be so uncomfortable in the gym when they first show up that it manifests as their physical movement. Like they are so nervous or have so much anxiety just from walking in, like you said, Nick, just from walking in the door, that they may move more, quote unquote, tightly. They don't have the same flexibility as if they were in a relaxed state. And we're talking next level coaching stuff. Do you think every coach that goes through the level 1 or the level 2 has the insight or the ability to even recognize that that's a thing?
Yeah, too nuanced.
No, exactly. It is too nuanced, but they will do their damnedest to make sure that you learn how to squat correctly and that you have a good time. And if you start there, that's a great place.
I think that all of that is 100% true. And if the coach is doing a really good job of creating a culture in the gym, the culture carries that person through that time, because there's no way a coach can legitimately take care of that with every single person that is experiencing that in a gym. But if you've created a culture where you have Becky, that's an accountant that's there at noon too, and she's fist bumping that person and is like, hey, good job. What's your name? Yada, yada, yada. It's like that culture is what makes that girl stay.
Absolutely.
And that culture is like what makes her be like, it's going to get better. I couldn't overhead squat when I started too. You know what I'm saying? You'll get better at it. It's just going to take, a year, for me, 5 years.
I think CrossFit as a whole has done a phenomenal job since day one with making people feel accepted and welcome in these moments. And it's the only competition you'll ever see where literally the person that finishes last, everybody else is on the floor screaming, trying to clap them on to finish, even though they're competing against each other. And it's
because of the empathy.
It's commonplace at this point. Yeah.
Been there, right?
Been there. Yeah.
Especially in an industry where there is a lot of, we said earlier, like a lot of ego and a lot of like special sauce, to be willing to like tear down those walls and then share, I think is so unique.
Right. It's so hard to find in the fitness industry because no one can just have the gall to be like, you know what, you're probably just as smart as me. You probably honestly like care enough about your clients just like I do. I don't know why everybody has to be like the most special trainer or the most special coach. It's like, man,
scarcity mindset
we're all in this
instead of abundance.
Exactly. And really what the industry,
abundance is like, it's only getting bigger. Like the population of people that need trainers and need, health advice is only getting bigger. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. I mean, we're still a pretty obese society. If I understand, I don't know how my data right in front of me, but I'm pretty sure heart disease is still like the number one killer of Americans, right?
Yeah.
So there's so much more room to go for the fitness industry to advance and change the future of our world, right? So
but how do you make somebody who feels so this is like this is going to we're zooming out here, okay? So let's get back to the very beginning. We're starting up a gym. We've seen so many people try to scale CrossFit, right? Very difficult to scale. Being in that one, obviously you can't have the same name at two boxes, but you have the situation where that customer acquisition, right? The trying to gain a new member. It's so hard because they see the finished product, of course, of other people, and they compare themselves, of course. Yep. And they say, I'm not a fitness person. I'm not that's not where, look at that person. That person looks like they've been doing this forever and ever and ever. And so it's so difficult to just get people to get in the game, just to cross that line and say, okay, I'm going to try, I'm going to attempt this. And I'm saying like, what do you think it is? Because there's so many issues with that. You're saying like we've never had more of a need of it, but I feel like just like the culture right now, it's just things just get more and more and more extremely divisive. There are more and more out of shape people, but the people that are in shape are getting best shape they've ever been in. You see where I'm coming from? And so how do I get more people that are just on the fringe, those moderate people that are like, I worked out in high school. I played a sport growing up. I've had my kids and now I'm thinking in my head, like, man, I want to stick around a little longer and I'm finding fitness again. How do they get started? You know what I mean? And how do we make them feel comfortable in the very beginning? Because that seems to be the hardest part.
It does. My brain goes in two different directions when you say that. The first one is the mental side, which we kind of at least touched on a little bit. Sure. But if you're an individual and you've completely just punted the idea that as a human, I should be able to physically do A, B, C, D, like at will, go on a run, chase my kids in the backyard, you know, go on a hike, whatever it might be. That's partially a mental thing that we need to work through.
Yep.
In my opinion.
Agreed.
And so that'd be like one tangent.
So
to go
tons
down.
of limiting beliefs there.
Yep,
right?
exactly.
Right.
And then the second one is there's more access to fitness through, you know, our cell phones and YouTube and anything else that you can ever imagine. But the thing that's always been the miss, it's like there's a reason why Bowflexes become like, you know, clothes hangers, is accountability.
Right.
And so we got to solve the mental side. And then, in my opinion, group fitness needs to step up their game when it comes to how do we hold someone accountable, and not just accountable for showing up. That's where it starts. But then I think what CrossFit does really well is we hold you accountable to a movement standard. We hold you accountable to, you know, like everything. It's your intensity that you move with. It's to scaling to whenever you need it so you don't get hurt. It's, you know, rinse and repeat, like across the board. Accountability, mental. When gyms start thinking in that direction, I think we'll get more people off the couch and into our facilities.
I don't disagree, man. It's a tough question to try to solve, though, right? I mean, it's something we struggle with too, because it's like, you know, people have their preconceived notions about gyms, just like they do supplement stores, and it's like when your intent is to be the best at what you do and to genuinely solve problems and really help people better than they can get anywhere else, you're just like, man, I just need to meet more people. So how do I do that and make it more comfortable? Because like you guys have the right intent, you have the right, you know, all these things align, you know, so it's just now we just need to meet more people.
Well, and I think the tough part, accountability doesn't scale because it's a one-to-one relationship. It's Kyle, I care about you. So when you haven't been in, I'm calling you, right? Like, well, how many people can I do that for? And then before I have to add another person to the staff to then do the same thing. And how many times do I let you skip before I, you know, pick up the phone and then do it again?
Every call to him isn't a call to a new person.
Hard to measure the ROI on it too.
Right.
I mean, you can measure churn, right?
Yeah, you can.
Churn in the group fitness space is around 10%, which is absolutely destroying group fitness. But people walk into these gyms to be held accountable. Otherwise, they wouldn't need us. They'd work out at home.
Yep.
So whenever you turn your focus to get more leads, get more people in, and away from the people who are there because supposedly you care about them and their results, you're leaving them hanging. So of course they're going to leave. It's the coach that he was focused on something else. That day when you were in to meet him, you needed him.
100%.
And he didn't care, right? It goes back to what you were saying.
And the truth was, like, I wasn't feeling comfortable in the first place because I wasn't feeling like I was evolving and getting better. I was doing the same things that I knew I could do well. And I wasn't getting better at any of my weaknesses. I'd spend time stretching more. I'd spend more time doing these and that thing. But I was really looking for a reason to quit. If we're being honest, it's like I was looking for a reason to say, screw this, because I was already mentally feeling weak in it because I wasn't getting any better. And I just needed somebody to confirm that I wasn't, you know, this isn't for me. So I already think this isn't for me. And then you have that bad experience and it's all I needed.
And then done, right?
Because you're like, yeah, this isn't for me. Look, see, it's not for me.
I would challenge, going back to your question now, after hearing all this discussion about what I would tell a gym owner, I would ask them a question like, what do you think a coach is? And I would want to hear their answer, because what your experience that you just had tells me is that the coach, and I'm using that word specifically, they didn't know what their job was. They didn't know what their role was. Too often we see people in the coach role just facilitating group exercise, and they're not coaching. They aren't taking ownership. A coach takes ownership of your journey with you. It's like a partner in that sense.
Well, we're paying them to hold us accountable to getting these results.
But most trainers are up at the front of a group class and they think, hey, here's the session for today. I just have to make sure everybody in front of me executes what's written up on the board.
Right.
And they don't think, I need to take each individual person here and ensure that this session today is applied appropriately so that their journey can continue in the right direction. Many trainers are so focused, and business owners need to be able to view this from the top down. They need to see this so that they can develop their staff with purpose and intention. They need to make sure that there is a spot on the horizon that we're always working towards, and not just looking at it as the time on the clock today. So I think that's probably where I would start going with a gym owner that was looking to open. I was like, is this in line with where your belief on coaching is, regardless of the methodology, really? Because otherwise you are just I delineate between using the term trainer and coach. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the line that I use. A coach is someone that's going to be on you for the duration of your journey until you feel like you're able to either go out on your own or you're leaving that discipline, right? Whereas a trainer, they're just going to help you execute what's on the day-to-day. And I think as an affiliate owner or a gym owner, you should be looking to hire coaches, not trainers.
Easier said than done in today's job market.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's going back to what you said. You can't. I think this is the answer nobody wants to hear, and I could completely be wrong. I don't know if it is scalable. I don't know if it should be scalable. Like once you have a gym that's 300, 400 people, maybe that's as big as it's supposed to be for as good as you can get it.
Yep. It's possible. We open up new locations when that happens.
Yeah.
You know, whenever we feel like our experiences are number one product in our store. We know that. And so if we get into a spot where we have too many customers coming to one store, we have to open up another store because the experience is getting watered down.
Oh, yeah. You don't want lines in here. You don't want, We
leave money on the table doing that because obviously it reduce overhead to just pump more people into one store.
Right.
But it's like experience is like the number one thing for us. We don't want people to not want to come into our store because it's overcrowded.
Solving a problem in a unique way.
Right. Well, we know, and also we know that we're not for everyone, right? If we put a self-checkout in there, right? But now there's no relationship, no value. So,
right.
You know,
sounds like you have a mission.
I mean, truly, I mean, I care so much about customer service more so than the supplements themselves. And so it's just one of those things where we just want to give you a phenomenal over-the-top experience in a day and age where it's just very difficult to get any kind of a good customer service experience, let alone an exceptional one. And so if we can at least just deliver on a customer experience, it's over the top. Maybe they'll be okay with, you know, continuing to come back to us and not having to look for the best deal. You know what I mean? Because we're competitively priced. I know that we're not the lowest price in the country. It's hard to find. You know, if you Google enough, you'll find someone cheaper somewhere, right?
That makes sense.
But we'll always be fair, you know, but we just hope that, you know, the relationship keeps you coming back.
If every gym owner had that viewpoint and that attitude, you would see a lot less crappy gyms.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But a lot of gym owners, they're like, I get to work out all day long in between classes.
They're hobby gym. They're people that like to work out or like to say that they work out and they want their own place to do it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
We're seeing it less, but
so you guys have been around though a ton of different gyms, not just CrossFit gyms, and even if the ones that, you know, people are allowed to operate those CrossFit gyms independently and do them their own ways, if you will. And I've seen how these gym owners have tried to scale CrossFit in a way that is more acceptable to every Tom, Dick, and Harry, for the lack of a better phrase there. And what I would ask you guys is what kind of fads, if you will, have kind of fallen to the wayside over the last 10 years that you've seen come and go. And I'll start with just some examples that I remember happening along the way.
Nick still does Zumba, so
I do. I got a class in 26 minutes.
You don't do it well though. No.
Hey, dude, Zumba is phenomenal.
Me and Jeff worked a Zumbathon in like probably 2010.
We shook our asses for
Did you really?
MS.
Yeah. Did you? Yeah. We're
MS, man. 4 hours straight.
You know,
you did Zumba for 4 hours straight.
Yes. In our 80s gear. We had 80s.
No.
80s
I had
apparel.
a crop top. You know,
is there video?
I had a shoulderless.
I was a
t-shirt.
total meathead at this point in my life. I was probably like 245.
We wore sunglasses inside. We were the only guys in there. But
I'm not even angry. I'm impressed.
I want to see it.
And just to be fair, just like to tell everybody else listening, we were hourly employees.
Luke, you'd have to go so deep into my Facebook
we were not
history
owners.
to find such a photo, but it
still
does
there.
exist.
I'll be scrolling later.
It's worth it, dude. But anyways, yeah, MS. Zumba's not bad. Anyways, the methods that I could think of that were, you know, really fresh was, hey, let's get rid of the barbell completely. Too intimidating, right? So let's just do kettlebells. We also have the intro to CrossFit class that you graduate from before you can get into the class with everybody else. Not a terrible, probably a great idea. Hard to probably continue to implement though, because it's a whole separate class compared to the actual class schedule that everybody's paying for.
Right.
You know, we have obviously the Groupon wave, which was crazy for a while, that you could just go to CrossFit for free, basically, if you were just jumping from box to box to box.
Yeah,
that's right.
Groupon
on
days.
the Groupon days. And so there was just been so many things along the way that people have been trying to jump on, but like what has been eliminated and what is sticking?
That's a hard question.
I feel like some stuff just goes in cycles, right? So it used to be free trial would be like, you go in, you try a class out. And then they came up with this idea of like, hey, maybe we should like sit down and talk to people first before we just like throw them into a class, right?
Consultation.
Yep, consultation approach. So you see that kind of come and go. Like some gyms will still go like, no, we want to do the free trial. And so you'll see some of that. So I don't know how much leaves versus just gets recycled. It's like 6-week challenges were one. Real big.
Oh yeah,
Gym
that was
launch.
huge for a while.
That was the
Right.
gym launch era.
Yeah,
The gym launch era.
Even before gym launch though. The New You Challenge.
Oh, the New You Challenge. That was Tommy Hackenbrook, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he worked. Yeah, he was there. I don't think he was the
Pioneer of it.
pioneer. Yeah.
What if they did that kind of approach though? That was kind of like gym launches, where it was the infamous like you pay this much money, but if you actually get the results, we'll give you your money back.
Yeah, that was them.
And it's like the trial situation. I feel like that's the move. Is you say like, hey, give me $49 or something. I'll give you 7 days, 7 classes, but you'll get all that $49 back if you come to every one of your scheduled sessions and you participate fully. And I think that you'll obviously want to sign up if you get through 7 days or get through whatever the time period is you think they need to get satiated into the culture and say, all right, I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, martial arts does that a fair amount, right?
Does it work?
Works for them.
Nope.
Yeah. I mean,
Jeff's still
They're
doing
actually
karate.
giving them a their first belt at the ceremony as the end of this trial, and they're like, "You want to get a green one? You want
a green one?
that's how I do it immediately. Is like I would just make sure the trial is up until the point where you're breaking a board and getting.
I love that
and
Jeff's
getting the
just like
belt.
taking martial arts. He's like, but you can make some money. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh my dude, let's be real. The
turn
belts,
it into some money.
the belts was all about making money.
Yep.
The different colors of belts was invented for commerce, dude. That is capitalism 101. Come on, dude.
Come on, Sensei's rich.
Zach's over here at level 4. You think level 2, 3, 4 even existed after the first year?
Nope.
Pretty soon they're going to have 5 levels, dude. How many more razor blades do you need, Kyle?
Oh, man.
It's never going to stop. We're just going to keep going with these colors.
That's exactly how it works.
We're going to do a new different type of karate and mixed with Taekwondo, and you get like the whole Crayola color.
They've already done it. It's Taibo, dog.
100 of them.
Taibo.
100
Oh,
different
Taibo.
colors.
I remember Taibo.
Taibo.
Yeah.
Testing into a new belt every month.
Was that Billy Blanks?
Billy Blanks,
Holy
you know?
shit. Wow.
My stepmom
dude.
had those videos. She did
I still-
Taibo, and you got to move the
Still
the
have
table
double
out of
time?
the-
Talk about fad.
double time, dude?
yes.
I can't
was in
believe that
elementary
didn't
school
have
when
any
that came out.
sticking power. You know, it's crazy. What
do you mean?
Seems so applicable.
Doesn't have any sticking power. You
mean-
just talked about
I'm
it.
saying we remember it.
Yeah, we do remember it.
We all remember Billy Blanks and double time.
Double time.
Yeah, dude.
It seems like all the fads are relative to, I mean, CrossFit's sticking. CrossFit is not going anywhere.
Right.
Constantly very functional movement, high intensity. It's not going anywhere. All the fads that we're talking about seem to be business practices, right?
Yeah.
Seem to be people trying different angles to
Well, that's the hardest part, right?
increase
Acquire
retention.
a new one.
Yeah, and acquire new people. So, I mean, yeah, I agree with Nick. I think things are just going to work in cycles. What worked in the, I will say this with the caveat, they'll work with cycles as long as the technology allows them or facilitates it, because that's typically what is going to drive member acquisition and a lot of the retention outside of, your relationship stuff. So are we working on anything that breaks those cycles?
I mean, yeah, there's a few things, right? When you go back to just like accountability as the number one thing and engagement, like in our mobile app, we basically have recreated Facebook for the gym owner. And so if you think about, a PushPress gym who wants to, make a post like, hey, we've got a pre-order of shirts, or has anyone tried this recipe? And then having a push notification sent to your phone with the brand of the gyms, being right front and center all the time. Now you're always thinking about the gym. Oh, you know what? Maybe I should actually book a class and show up, right? So what are those different ways that you reach out, you talk to your clients, that you engage with your clients, that you keep them coming back? So it's hard for us to look at the data across all gyms, see that churn is through the roof, and then think that it's a lead problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, hard. I mean, if it wasn't a lead problem, right? Why would you have so much churn, or why would you not have retention?
Leads are great, but you got to know, number one, what to do with them, right? So it's like you got to know how to sell, so you got to be able to convert, but then you actually have to keep them. And in our space in software, it's like churn of 1% is about the highest that we should ever be. So the way that you would calculate that is like if I have got 100 members in my gym, I can lose 1. right? Pretty simple math. Yep. We see 10 across the industry in group fitness.
Per month.
Per month. And group fit, or CrossFit specifically, is around 9. So it's still pretty high. But group fitness as a whole is 10.
I bet if you looked at that for like a big box gym, it would be so much higher.
So much higher.
I would argue the complete opposite.
Oh, maybe because it's such a low cost.
The low price.
And they
I was
just
going to
forget
say,
about it.
I'm saying Planet Fitness's churn's probably nothing.
They depend on that. They just depend on you not showing up, not canceling. So churn for us is not lack of attendance. It's when you cancel your membership, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
When you have $150, average membership cost, it's going to be a
people are going to
heavier
notice
investment.
Yeah,
in this economy, you're noticing it, right?
Yeah. If I'm not using it, I'm getting rid of it.
Exactly. That's exactly it. If I'm not using it, I'm getting rid of it. So if I'm not showing up, of course I'm going to get rid of it. Well, why did I quit showing up?
Now we get back into the
Now
care,
we're right back
get
to
back
it.
into the training.
Yep,
exactly.
Leads are the remedy, but the disease is how are we performing as owners and a coaching staff in our facilities? And the tough part is, in my opinion, if I'm an owner and I've got a churn problem, that means I got to look in the mirror and go,
wrong with your recipe.
Something's wrong. Maybe I'm a bad coach and I need to improve here. Maybe, Zach's a bad coach and I have to have an honest conversation with him. But nobody likes looking in the mirror. That shit's hard.
Mm-hmm. We look at when you're advertising, right? We're talking about let's say we put out some advertising or we decide to do a bunch of events to help drive customers into the store. If that store doesn't have an ace of a staff, well, we're going to not do any events. Because what's the point of why am I trying to get leads for a broken process, right?
Yep.
So
we need to fix
check your recipe and make
first.
sure that we're still baking the right thing every time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it never made sense to me when gym owners would complain like, I need more members. I'm like, is it because you're trying to make up for losing members? And they'd be like, yeah. And I'd be like, why would we just don't lose members? Lose less members. Why would we ever want to put more water into a pot that's leaky?
Yeah, we're speeding up our demise by cranking more impressions through a negative space.
Because you're losing people due to lack of quality. What do you think flooding your gym with more people is going to do? Improve the quality? Like that? No,
driving your brand into the ground.
Exactly.
The dumbest thing about that too is like when you do fantastic with your current members, they become your
lead source.
Yes, they're the word of mouth marketing. They're going they're telling everybody and their friends and family. Like that's the way that we look at it is. Yeah, we can do advertising on the radio. We can do print advertising. We can do social media marketing. We can do all those things, but nothing is more impactful than when somebody has a friend and they're like, bro, you got to go into supplement superstores. I talked to those guys and they're awesome. Or in the world of, CrossFit or gyms, it's like, man, dude, you're getting in better shape. How are you doing that?
Well,
I've been going to the gym.
Number one rule of CrossFit, man.
Got to
talk about CrossFit.
I will say that about your guys' business though. If a friend of mine made a comment about a supplement store, like I would be like, man, it's a supplement store. Why are you so passionate about it? Just the fact that someone would bother to tell me about this specific store, I'd be like, I might not even need anything. I'm just going to go over and check it out.
Right.
Like if someone is that passionate about their service that they're getting somewhere, I don't even have to be interested in the product so much. I'm going to go visit.
I would extend that.
Appreciate everybody shared your sentiment. But
I would extend that to all retail because retail is done so poorly now. If somebody tells me about a good retail experience, I'm like, where is it at? And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go check it out.
Where did you go where the person that you talked with
actually
cared about your experience?
Right.
Yeah. It's very tough to find.
It's what you mentioned earlier. Like after COVID, when especially like service-based and experience-based industries, just seems like they all just took a freaking nosedive.
Plummet.
Now you can stand out there so much, like so easily, right?
Yeah. What's acceptable now is just unbelievable.
But you go to a restaurant and half the tables are maybe seated, maybe not, because they still may not have staff. Like it's tough to make it. So you're just going to sit there and you're going to wait and you're going to remember like, oh man, I always had to wait. And then nobody knew my name. And then all of a sudden you walk into S2 and it's like, they know your name. The store is clean, products available. Holy crap. Having available product is a differentiator in today's market.
It's a game. It's a game in and of itself right there.
Yep.
You guys are in a spot where it's like, I'm glad you guys notice all these things too. And Nick, you and I have talked about this briefly, but it's just like, you're definitely a details person and you can see when people are trying and when they're not and so forth. And that's in business or in life. But when it comes to, retail, I just notice more and more wherever I go, what's deemed as acceptable is just getting lower and lower. And I'm like, man, I sound like an old person, you know, standing up here being like back in mud, you know, and it's like, what? You know, getting checked out and somebody's got a headphone in. And I'm like, the first time I ever saw a young kid with their like AirPod in their ear, just one.
Like while scanning?
Yeah. And I remember being in my head like, I can't believe that's acceptable here, right? Yeah. And then all of a sudden it just became like common practice. Like everywhere I go, if I'm at Chipotle, the person in the Chipotle line, if I'm at, you know, the grocery store, whatever, if I'm at the bank, someone's wearing like their headphones, just like working with their headphones in. Now it's not just one, it's just both.
Jeff started his working career as a checker. This is why it bothers him so much.
I was a bagger, dude. You can't be 18.
Sorry, he's a bagger.
You can't be 16 handling cash in a drawer. What are you talking about, dude? Shows your lack of experience. Anyways, I was bagging groceries perfectly. So
perfectly.
That's right.
That's right. Now I have to bag my own. It's bullshit.
If anybody knows me really well, they know that
you sound crotchety AF.
Dude, I got second place in our best bagger competition internally. And,
is that a thing?
It was a real thing.
Deerberg's
grocery store in St. Charles, Missouri, Bogey Hills Plaza. Shout out to Bogey Hills.
Wow.
But I got so here this is a real thing. So they do the bagger contest. After that, you go on to state. There's a regional and a state.
No.
I'm not done. So after you win state,
made it to the bagging games.
You bag at nationals. All right. Look this shit up, Luke. You bag at nationals. And if you win at nationals, all right, you get to go on the Letterman show. And this is back in the day. And you got to bag on national TV. And they had like a golden trophy of a paper sack. And I was 16 years old and I was like, I want to win. Right. So anyways, I did all the requirements. I did all the requirements. I did the thing. I got to the end and they, you know, and I was in first place or whatever. And some guy came in after the deadline, Ryan Shaughnessy. I know who you are.
This is wild.
The name has haunted me.
Wild.
Ryan's catching a haymaker. He's in Sedona right now or something.
He was a private school kid, so we didn't like him.
Everyone needs that.
So this dude comes in and he has better weight distribution than me. So he ends up getting first place, and they let his score count, even though it was after the deadline. Anywho, the guy went on to nationals. For real. He won state. I got beat by the best. The guy was awesome.
Wow.
Guy was a prodigy. I mean, 16 years
story.
old.
Gosh, that is amazing.
You can't find any best bagging competition
stuff,
my
Luke. God, Luke. Like the internet is littered with bagging and you can't find a single one.
My gosh, dude.
I was like,
do you know how to use
I didn't
YouTube?
know the internet was around
Google?
when this was going on. I didn't know if we were talking about the same time period. Like,
Anyways. So yeah, how dare you just try to compare me to a checker?
Sorry.
Do you know how much more I'd pay for my groceries right now if everything was like speed bag with a little flare?
Yeah.
I'd go there just for the...
I'd be like...
10,000.
Best bagger champion. It still exists.
Dude.
Who is the bagger?
You can win 10 grand?
I mean, like,
Best bagger, huh?
This was nuts.
These guys are fighting back against the self-check.
Look at all the state champs. Look at all the state champs. Let's find Missouri and Kansas. Let's see where they work.
Oh, my God.
Oh, what?
These guys are so pissed at
no state champs for Missouri in the NGA, whatever that is.
You know what? Times are tough. They probably quit submitting contestants.
Best bagger handbook. I want to know what is in the handbook.
Time and weight distribution, dog.
Yeah.
You can't put the colds with the hots and all the, you know what I mean?
Chips on tops, cans on bottom.
I mean,
eggs in a separate sack, double bag if you need.
To be fair, this is all common sense. It's, you know.
Anyways, hey man, it was a way for me to take pride in my job at 15 years old, and so you know what? Kudos to them for making the best bagger competition.
Yeah, absolutely,
you care.
So you guys can talk smack all you want, but you know what? You had a 15-year-old me trying my ass off at being a bagger.
Hey, I would never talk smack about that.
Yeah, man. Anyways,
all right. Well. If you guys have ever listened to the podcast before, the last question that we always ask every guest. Wait, you're brand new to Kansas City, aren't you?
I am. Yeah.
All right, this will be an interesting question then. So Kansas City, known for barbecue.
widely known
for barbecue.
The best.
What is it?
Whoa.
You're from Las Vegas, dude. What is Las Vegas of barbecue?
I've been given like 3 or 4 different suggestions. We have yet to find something where I sit down, I eat it, and I'm just like, oh yeah, this is pretty good. It's always been like,
I'm so interested to hear these.
Dude, we're gonna change this.
So
guys.
hold on,
this is a failing on my part.
So you've had no good experience with Kansas City barbecue so far.
Correct.
Okay.
And now let's talk about the gauntlet that you went through.
Yeah, let's hear these.
Yeah.
I went to, so I've heard, what is it, Jack Stacks or something? Like
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So do they have multiple locations?
Yes.
They do.
Okay. So we went to one and I was told, oh yeah, that's that's not the good one. It like when we walked in,
Overland Park would be my guess for not the good one.
Yeah, we walked in, we thought it was an Applebee's at first when we looked around, and we're like, this is just a redecorated Applebee's.
It's got to be Overland Park.
It has to be the 95th Street.
Yeah.
So that we didn't have a good experience there.
So West Vegas scenario.
The meat came out cold.
Oh, yeah.
So I was surprised by that.
Unacceptable.
And then we had Q39.
Oh, not liking Q39.
So,
the most popular answer on this podcast
was the best one that we had, but it wasn't anything that I was.
MEH? Really?
Well, so when again, we've only gone there once. So when I had it, I maybe it was hyped up so much that I was expecting something better.
That's an issue there.
I think
can
that
see
could
that.
have been it.
I can see that.
Because it wasn't bad. I was like,
Oh, it's barbecue.
Oh, it's just barbecue, I guess. Yeah.
All the new Star Wars movies, same concept. You just
All
watch
the
it,
new
you're like,
ones, yeah.
yeah.
What was
You
the
know,
third one?
That's
not
actually
Star Wars.
That's actually how it
Pretty good.
felt. Like I was like, oh, this isn't even Mandalorian. This is like the Force Awakens bullshit, right?
Yeah. You're just like, you know? But like when you hype it up, I mean, you're calling it Kansas City barbecue. Better be the best you've ever had.
Right.
I get that.
Right.
But, you know, we probably should have helped you as far as what menu items are must, which ones to steer clear, whatever. But truly, when you go to Jack Stack or Q39, I would say that 9 times out of 10, you're just going to have an awesome experience because honestly, everything on the menu is pretty good.
If you go to Jack Stack, the Lee Summit one or the original one that's in Martin City, both awesome.
So that's
Yeah,
the
they
one
are.
that we want to go try. And then
City.
the
Yeah,
other
go the
one
Martin City one.
that we went to was at Town Center over in Leawood.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? It
Can't
seemed
think
like
of a barbecue spot there, though.
It
Yeah.
seemed like a franchise name. It was like Dickies or something. Not
Oh,
Dickies.
Dickies?
It wasn't Dickies.
Something like a
It
Dickies.
was something like
mean,
that.
Joe's is over there.
Oh, Joe's. I think that's what it was. It was Joe's.
So he's just going after the three, the Holy Trinity right now?
These are the
serious?
Holy
You
Trinity.
didn't even talk about the crappy one, which is, in my opinion, Arthur Bryant's.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
all the
I
originals,
mean-
the Gates and the Arthur Bryant's, for me, I'm just not a fan.
There's
Straight
a
up.
hole in the wall
Me
one
neither.
that I've been told about to go up. And it's in downtown.
What's
Like,
it called?
I can't remember, but it's like oh, you're gonna think it's like some sort of crack house when you walk up to it. I was like,
Those are the best.
It's Gates.
That might be.
like perfect.
Gates,
But-
they yell at you when you walk in there.
Hey, at
Slaps
this
is
point-
nice.
That's actually the reason to go.
I've been
Just
here-
to get yelled at.
I've been
Yeah.
here 6 months, and I'll say this: I just prefer St. Louis barbecue now. That's it,
God.
guys. Like, fight me on it.
Did you have Sugar Fire?
We're going to
I don't
fight
know
you
what
on
Sugar
it.
Fire is.
or Pappy's.
I don't know what Pappy's
Salt and
is.
Smoke?
Nope, don't know.
Wow, dude. Okay.
We're gonna
Well,
have to get him out.
I was going to say, Zach, your opinion's starting to not matter more. I just don't know what you're telling me. I just named off the 3 best barbecue spots in St. Louis. So if you went to, you know, the Rib Crib, I don't know if I give a what, but
Rib. Oh,
Maybe it's what I'm ordering. Yeah. I mean, yeah, maybe it's what I'm ordering. I get what burnt ends and tri-tip.
Oh, dude, burn ends.
Can't go wrong with burn ends.
you're in Kansas City.
Kansas City's known for burn ends.
They invented them. I mean, come on.
Oh, really?
For real, though. Kansas City's known for the burn ends. So.
You travel a lot. Real quick before we get your answer, you travel a lot. So where is the best spot to get barbecue outside of Kansas City then?
Oh, I don't know. We don't eat barbecue like usually when we go out.
There's the
That's probably
problem.
why.
There's the problem.
Oh, I forgot I was talking to a lactose intolerant guy about ice cream.
Exactly.
Now it makes sense.
Unbelievable. Okay. So, Nick, tell me about your barbecue experience.
So
Number one spot that you're going to have to bring people to. So now when you hear all this out of Zach, this is a great setup for this question. We got Zach over here who's highly critical of barbecue, even though he's not even a fan of barbecue now. Tell me where you would bring him to make him a fan.
okay, so when I worked for Cat, I would do a ton of entertainment, and we would always have people flying to Kansas City, and you know, a lot of my customers are railroad guys.
Professional schmoozer.
They're foodies.
Yeah.
You know, so if they were higher up on the expense line, we'd go to the Freight House, Jack Stack downtown,
Oh, yeah, that one's
and
nice.
ground beef prime rib. Amazing piece of meat. Don't need a knife. So anytime I was entertaining someone that wanted Kansas City barbecue, but they didn't
Nicer.
want to
But
go
make it
sit
nice.
down with a napkin, you know, type of thing, like we went there. Still love that, by the way. It's the only thing I'll order from Jack Stack for the most part. Otherwise, Q39 and KC Joe's, I kind of go back and forth between them, but man, Joe's, if you can get some burn ends and they don't sell out, God, that's a hard beat.
What is it supposed to taste like?
Meat candy.
Meat candy.
Meat candy.
That's the best way I would put a burn in.
Yep. Yep.
It's just a meat cube of candy.
All right.
It's just delicious. Yeah.
If you want to, you know, how we talked about health and fitness this whole podcast, if you want to just throw that all out the window, you can go to Casey Joe's and get the Z-Man, because it's like
On Texas.
Life
like
is about balance.
yeah, it is.
Hey,
You gotta
dude.
give yourself-
Nick's got a deep cut for you. That's important. What is it?
Z-Man on Texas.
On Texas toast. You didn't even know you could do that.
I did not know this was an option.
It'll change your freaking life.
Really?
If you go there tonight.
The bread they give
And
you the
get-
napkin as napkins.
Oh. Yes.
No, that's
So do not get the regular Z-Man.
random
Get it on
slices of bread with your
Texas. It's
barbecue?
revolutionary.
Bread over
And what
my
it
face.
does is it ruins the original Z-Man ongoing.
I'm a Rocket Pig guy.
Oh, is that it?
You guys been doing Rocket Pigs? They got the spice. They got the fried jalapenos on them. Anyways,
Ooh.
I mean, that looks
come on, dude.
okay. I will say this: nothing that I've ever ordered at any of
King's
these places
Hawaiian?
look like that. Like that looks like it would be good.
That's the original Z-Man right there.
We're going to go get a Z-Man.
All right.
All right.
That's respect. Also, if you're a spicy fan, look at the Rocket Pig. Give it a double take. It's
I haven't
awesome.
tried the Rocket Pig.
It's my go-to. It's like
Is that
the
a restaurant?
It's the sister sandwich to the Z-Man.
Yeah.
So Rocket Pig is like a spicy Z-Man.
It's
Got it.
yeah, it's got jalapenos on
Got
it.
it.
I had one more question for you specifically, Zach, because this is a little off topic, but I wanted to bring it back because it's super important to me. There are so many former SEALs that are profiting off of being former SEALs right now.
Yeah.
Not thinking that's a bad thing at all. I think that's awesome. But there are many. And so out of the many, who do you think is doing the best that you feel like honors being a Navy SEAL the best? Where you're like, man, that guy's doing it well. I really appreciate and respect how he's doing it.
That's a hard question just for the simple fact that I'm not on social media that much and I don't pay attention to it. I don't know many of them, to be honest. I know Andy is genuine. Andy is the way he comes
For
across.
our listeners, who is Andy?
Andy Stumpf, the Cleared Hot podcast. Yeah, he keeps it real. That is Andy. That
We
is
got
how he acts.
Jocko. We got, I think, Chad Wright. Is that right?
Chad Wright.
Which one is Chad?
He's a long distance runner guy.
Oh, yeah. So I'm not going to talk bad about anybody, but there are some guys
I've heard some things
that lean into exaggeration and lead into the theatrics. Jocko is also him. That's how intense he actually is.
He's real.
That's his personality. But
Jocko, one of the original CrossFit affiliate owners.
yeah,
right?
he got involved early on.
Yeah.
Yep, and he is intense like that. That is his yeah, I can't say it any other way. That what you hear and listen to and see on his podcast and his videos, that's what you get.
I feel like you can't have the amount of content that man has and it not be completely authentic because he's just every one of his podcasts like 4 hours, dude.
Yeah, it would be too much. So I don't really judge anybody based like who am I to judge, right? I'm not judging anybody. I would get rubbed the wrong way if I saw something that was non-genuine or non-sincere or anything like that. Sure. And I know Andy is definitely sincere and he's a good dude and he's a badass in his own right. Not in his own right.
Yeah, we
He's just
couldn't
a
possibly
badass.
talk negatively about SEALs. It was more of who do you feel like does it the best? Because there's a lot. There's many that are doing it, right?
I would say that Andy does. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's an amount of people that I've just seen that are just like, former SEALs formulated this, and it was like a pair of shoes, or it was like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what's cool about the Cleared Hot podcast is he's one of the first guys that I ever heard that he was like, yes, SEALs aren't special, dude. Like we have morons that are SEALs, and like he was like he basically humanized the people. He's like SEAls make mistakes. There's he was breaking down the wall of like what was kind of built up in like the 2000
Hollywood.
to 2010
SEAL Team 6 era.
And he was like, dude, he's like, we had a different job. Our job, in some areas was much harder than, some other jobs. But in other areas, he's like, we also had guys that were just total, degenerates in their personal lives. He's like everyone, he's like a human's a human. There's a lot of flaws that SEALs have that, he was just one of the first people to talk about that, which was interesting to hear in a time when everything was, SEAL Team 6 on TV or whatever.
Yep.
So
That sounds exactly like Andy, and I agree with it 100%.
yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome, man. Well, guys, we really appreciate your time.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
We loved
for coming
having
on.
you. It's been a really awesome conversation.
Been great.
Plug anything that you guys want to
say
plug.
talk to us. Well, talk to us about where we can find you.
Yep.
PushPress.com.
Yep.
All one word.
Boom.
Easy enough.
PushPress.com.
That's it. That's all I got. I'm pushpress.com. Yep.
And if you want to find them on the gram, Good luck.
Yeah. You will find Zach.
Find their names. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't do too much on there. It's
Oh, Zach, you got a good Instagram handle.
Yeah, your content's good, man.
It's my initials. People think I'm trying to be funny. I'm just like, no, those are just my initials.
Yeah, but you're kind of being funny.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
It's kind of funny.
Caitlin came over there, you're like, yeah. Yep.
Zach _ AF.
Yeah.
I believe there is 2 underscores there. Is that right? Is there?
Yeah, I think so. I think the regular underscore was just taken or something like that. But yeah. Yep.
Gosh, dang.
God, what a pretty face.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
All right, dudes. Appreciate you guys coming on. You guys take it easy.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you guys.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you.